Welcome back. My special guest today is Shelita. She's an international pop artist whose journey blends resilience, reinvention, and music that elevates our consciousness. She has been featured in NPR, Forbes, and Rolling Stone. Her songs have reached millions of streams worldwide. She's charted on Billboard, and her music has connected audiences from all over the world. Pretty special to have that power. Her EP, Special, reached number 10 on Billboard and number 3 on iTunes. And her single, Penetrate, climbed to number 14 on Billboard's Next Big Sound chart. Shelita won a prestigious Hollywood Music in Media Award, appearing alongside industry legends like Quincy Jones and Dianne Warren. She has been named an artist to watch by NPR Music and was featured as a spotlight artist at South by Southwest. She has performed over 150 shows across Europe, Asia, Africa, America, and making her a true musical citizen of the world. Shelita's past was profoundly altered by a skydiving accident in Seychelles that left her facing years of recovery, isolation, and multiple surgeries. In the depths of uncertainty, she turned to two lifelines: free diving and music. The ocean gave her freedom, and music reminded her that vibration heals. Out of this union came not only recovery, but an entirely new chapter in her artistry, one that was rooted in resilience, transformation, and depth. Shelita's story is not only one of survival, it is a living example of how art and the human spirit can rise, reinvent, and inspire. And now, Shelita returns with her most powerful body of work yet, Into the Depths, arriving early next year. Welcome to the Jeremiah Show, Shelita.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's so nice to see you, and I can't wait to get to know you a little bit here today. I found it so fascinating. Beyond music, you were originally a software engineer for Microsoft.
Yes.
Are you still with Microsoft,
I am not still with Microsoft.
pursuing music?
I'm a full-time musician.
I love that. Love it. So
Yeah.
good. And thank you for doing that. We're all benefiting from that pursuit. What did you do at Microsoft? I
What
promise.
did I do?
Yeah, I won't
Ooh.
spend too much time on this. I'm just curious.
Well, I did various things.
Nothing,
I
anything you
did.
can talk about? uh,
Well, I did software engineering. I did cybersecurity.
and that's about as much as you can say. I get it. um, when you were there, I feel like you enjoyed it because I've seen your TED Talk and I've seen some other stuff. It felt like you enjoyed that time and you made the most of it. And we're going to get into that in a little bit as far as music goes. But did you want more out of life? Take me to your frame of mind at that time of your life. What were you thinking? What were you hoping for? Did you
What
want?
I was what I was hoping for is I wanted to experience what other humans were experiencing in terms of the workforce,
Mhm.
because I don't subscribe to the traditional idea of work. And I feel like I live really far in the future. And then, the world has to catch up sometimes. And
Catch up with
because
Shalita.
in our future, we're not going to have any jobs. And some people fear that. I don't fear that, but if you think about the current state of industry now, and you think about the last 2,000 years, there's a lot of new jobs in the marketplace in the last 100 years that didn't exist 500 years ago, right?
Right.
And so when you take humanity and you look at where we're going in our future, and you see that, oh, at the end of the day, in the next 50 years, there will be no more jobs. the reason why there's no reason to be afraid of that is because that stage of humanity is our evolution as a species. And it's not something to be afraid of. Evolution is natural. It's something that's going to happen with or without us. And we can embrace that change or we can be fearful of it, right? And so when I took an engineering job, it was my, experiment of being like other humans and experiencing the workforce because I've always been an entrepreneur. I started my first business as a child and I've always worked for myself and I wanted to know how to be a collaboration instead of just being someone that's on her own team doing her own things without understanding how to work with other human beings.
So it wasn't that you wanted to learn how to work like a human being, but you wanted to, you were craving that connection that humans have in a work environment, a team environment. Is
And
that
connection
fair?
and collaboration. Yes.
Collaboration.
I didn't know how to collaborate at all. Like even when I was in school and there was
Did
like a school project and the teacher would task us to be in, groups with other people, I would always take it upon myself to do the whole project for everybody. And like, you can sit back and relax and I will
I
take
got
care of all
this.
of it. But at the end of the day, I was learning nothing about this essential skill of collaboration.
How
And
term? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And so working with others in the workforce helped me acquire those collaboration skills. However, I'm a very fast learner. And after I acquired these collaboration skills, what I did is something that didn't really exist at the time. I automated my entire jobs. Microsoft wasn't the only thing that I was doing in my life. I was also doing music at the same time. And I had other businesses that I was still running while I was at Microsoft. And in all of those practices, what I learned to do is I learned how to automate the whole process and I learned how to be a remote worker. At the time, there wasn't really infrastructures for that in terms of people relating to you as a remote worker, and the infrastructures that we have in place now didn't exist then. So, in a lot of ways, I was pioneering the remote workspace, which I totally advocate for even now.
And a little bit like it sounds like a little bit AI
Oh,
with
yes.
automating. It sounds like you're
Oh,
right.
oh yes, I've
But
been doing things with AI for a very long time.
I find this part curious that you felt a need. You were an entrepreneur, you were doing things on your own, you were successful, but you felt the need to collaborate and connect. And so you went out into the workforce, Microsoft, one of the largest companies in the world, and got a job there as a programmer to fulfill that missing piece that you felt you were missing in your life. But you also predicted and are predicting the future, that there will be no more jobs, that that people will work remotely as they are. Um, why, knowing that the jobs would go away, why was that still important to you, that you learn a job, that you learn to work in the the environment, I guess, that we're
Oh,
is
that's
the
a
norm now?
lovely question. That's a lovely question. Because the future of humanity is collaboration, even when there's no workforce. Collaboration is the future of our species. And if we don't learn how to collaborate, we're not going to be able to survive in the new world. It's just not going to be possible. We're going to have to be collaborating at such large scales that we're not really capable of right now. We're going
Mhm.
to have to collaborate with, the global marketplace. That's
And
why I learned that skill.
okay, I think it's fascinating the way your mind works. And then music. Now, how does music fit in to your life now, but also in your future life? How do you think music fits in our future lives? Is that part of that collaboration and connection that you're
Well,
talking
music is immortal, and immortality is something I'm very much interested in. When you write a song and you put it out into existence, that song lives forever, forever and ever and ever. And I find that to be very fascinating. And I want my songs to be around for millions and millions and billions and trillions and quadrillions and trillions of years. You know, other planets and interstellar connectivity systems. And
You,
that's
you're not
stage
just
one.
satisfied with taking over the world we live in. You're set. You want to take over the our galaxy, our universe.
Oh, yes.
You're
And
that big of a star.
another thing about music in general is music has the power to heal us. Music is medicine. Vibration creates the world, creates the universe. Everything is a vibration. And so if you can master the domain of music, you can master the domain of curing humanity and curing, you know, different issues that we're all dealing with on an ongoing basis, which I think is very fascinating.
So was pursuing music a calculation for you, or is pursuing music a calling you just could not ignore? Which,
It-
how
It's a
did it?
calling you know, it's a calling followed by a calculation, I would say. It's a calling that happened naturally for me.
When did it happen for you?
Oh, since I was really young.
So
I've
you were
been
singing, or you were?
I was singing. My first job was actually singing in a church as a child.
Yeah, it was your first job.
Yes.
How old were you?
Oh my God. I was 8.
8.
Yes.
That's a good age to start singing. Do you think you were good?
Oh, did
Were
I
you
think
told? Yeah, were you told you were good?
at the time I didn't feel like I was good. At the time I felt like I was great, like I was brilliant.
That's a good answer. That's a great answer. I was expecting you to say something else. I like that
I've
answer.
been very
I
humbled
was,
throughout the years, I would
yeah.
say.
Yeah.
There are
Well,
different life things that happened in my life that have definitely humbled me.
yes, there have been, and we're going to talk about some of those. Well, if you can tell, I'm speaking to people that are listening out there right now. If you can tell, Shelita's a great thinker. I, I'd say ahead of your time. I don't want your head to get too much bigger, but I say you're ahead of your time. You're a sought after speaker at technology and music conferences, like I mentioned in the opening, including South by Southwest, at MIT, at Stanford. I mean, it's just incredible. This is some of these speeches that you're invited to give discuss your innovative approach to audience growth. And I want to talk about that in a moment. But before we do, I watched your TED talk that you did actually here in Santa Barbara at Laguna Blanca School, the TEDx,
Yes.
on the human creative operating system. And I thought it was just fascinating, some of the ideas that you brought up. What is the human operating system?
Well, the thing is, we are an operating system, and creativity, our ability to be creative, is our ability to solve problems. And so at the end of the day, a lot of people they feel like they have to outsource solutions and they don't look within in their own operating system and they don't look within with their own patterns to find the solutions for their issues and their challenges and their problems. We have mostly everything we need. We just have to source it within ourselves. And if we look at our patterns of thinking, we can identify within our operating system of ourselves exactly what's needed and how to close the gaps. And that happens through awareness. And awareness is what I believe is intelligence. A lot of people think that you know, intelligence is just mathematical, but there are so many levels of intelligence. There's music intelligence, there's emotional intelligence, there's so many avenues of intelligence. Yet a lot of people are clinging to this academic sense of science and technology and mathematic intelligence and your ability to retain information. With the technologies that we have available at our fingertips now, we don't need to really retain so much and memorize so many facts. as we need to be able to adapt and be creative with our responses to our environments. And the way we will be able to do that is through awareness. And so the human creative operating system is just a blueprint of how we can increase our awareness. I hope that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I actually kind of got goosebumps. It's inspiring. You're very inspiring. You mentioned that I'm hoping I hope I use the right terminology, but that we have programs that we can reprogram some of the things that hold us back, like fear, or all the other. There are many. I'm not going to go through all the list, but the fear can be reprogrammed, or success can be programmed,
Yes.
and you've faced your fears or your success or the different things in your life as and reprogram them in a sense.
Yeah.
Are you are there any programs that are currently challenging you right now for yourself or holding you back from what you want? I know it's
I
a personal question,
I
but
don't view programs as a sense in the sense of holding me back from something, as I see that every day we have challenges. And if we don't, life is boring. I love challenges. I love them because it's my opportunity to transform, right? When you look at the word crisis in some languages, it means the same thing as opportunity, which I think is very fascinating. And, so yes, there are things in my life that are very challenging. For instance, I've had multiple surgeries and, I was in a wheelchair for some years and now I'm not. Yay. And,
Mhm.
so I had challenges with walking actually. And I had a program that said, okay, I can't really push it so much. My bones are going to break again, right? And that was a program that I told myself, right? And once I identified, no, that is not the truth, and I can rewrite this and I can reprogram myself and I can get out this wheelchair and I'm going to be able to walk. And I didn't really have the pathway on how I was going to execute that, but I had that mindset and I would wake up every morning and I would say that to myself, today I'm going to walk. It took me 2 years, but I was able to do it. And I was able to do it because I believe I could, and I took the steps necessary to get me there, even though in the beginning I didn't really know what steps to take.
I think congratulations, by the way. That's so
Thank
inspiring as
you.
well. Um, there's a lot said out there about positive reinforcements, and I know you've addressed that as well. As you say, wake up every day and tell yourself, you're wrong to think that way. This is who you are. Remind yourself of who you want to be and who you are, and downplay the negativity or try to push it off to the side, and kind of reinforce. Tell yourself something. Is that what do you think that really works? Like you did, like I'm going to walk today, and
Oh,
I'm going to walk
yes.
today. Do you think that really? Would you suggest that to others that are facing challenges that they need to overcome, that you can
Oh,
by
yes. But
rewiring
it's
your
not
brain?
on, you have to rewire your brain and tell yourself with positive reinforcement, but you have to lead it up with some kind of action. And people want to know what action to take. And I'm going to give you a very simple way to think about that. The action to take is the hardest one. Whatever you feel is the hardest thing to do that first. And then reward yourself with the easy stuff.
That's so perfect. That is so true. Um, I mean, just personally, I'll wake up in the morning, a cup of coffee, and I'll look at what I have to do, and I'll typically avoid the hard ones, and then they never get done. But
Right.
just recently, I've taken that advice, even though I hadn't heard it yet, and I said I'm gonna go after the one that I just can't stand, and
Yes.
I get, and then it's gone. It's poof, it's done. Next, that's such great advice.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're here to talk about music and your new album, but I think that this says so much about you and what you've overcome and what you've the challenges that you've faced to create this beautiful album. Um, so I appreciate you indulging some of these questions for me. You say that your imagination, that our imagination is our superpower. Can you explain that?
Yes, yes, because it's your imagination that is going to help you find the creative problem-solving techniques that are going to help you throughout your life. And so a lot of people, they get tied up into their work or tied up into this and tied up into that, and they forget that they have this imagination, they have dreams, they have wishes and desires that they haven't really executed on. And it's time to take a step back and find out, what do you really want? And how can my imagination help me get there? Right? Like, what is the most impossible thing that I can desire right now that I would like to happen? And don't think about how you're going to do it in the beginning, right? Because it's not about how, it's about when. And if you take steps every single day to get to that vision or get to that dream or that idea with your imagination, that is going to propel you forward in ways you never knew before. And it opens up new pathways that you've never seen for yourself.
Well, you're giving out some pretty good advice here today. I
Thank
love it.
you.
So again, going back to your TED Talk or your TEDx at Laguna Blanca School, you can find that on YouTube. It's called the Human Creative Operating System, TEDx Laguna Blanca School. You had a fear, and you talk about it, a fear of heights all your life.
Yes. Yes.
But you eventually overcame that fear of heights. And I'd like to
Yes.
know how, because you've done over how many skydiving jumps? Over 200?
More than 200.
More than
Yes.
200, yeah. How did you say, you know what, this one's going away. I'm coming after you, fear.
Yes. And so what I did is I did the hardest thing first, right? So I wanted to get rid of my fear of heights because every time I was on an airplane, I was really intimidated, very scared, and I would tremble and I would have this physiological reaction of being on planes. And so, one of the things that I wanted to do to circumvent that is skydive. And that's the hardest thing first. So I did it.
Yeah.
I trained, I learned how to do it. I did it multiple times because I got addicted to skydiving. And it really changed my life and it really got rid of my fear of heights.
What was
I did
that
the hardest thing
like when you're
first.
holding on to that open door the first time?
The first time, it is really, really scary. And honestly, when I think back on it and my nervous system and what I was thinking and feeling, the more scared you are of the thing that you're about to do, the cooler it is. Because you get an adrenaline rush like never before the second after. So the second after your fear moment is the best day of your life. The
So,
second after the fear.
so it's
Okay.
that first couple hundred feet of falling towards the earth
Oh,
that
yes.
you
But
were
it's
most
it's when
alive.
you take that first step past your fear is it's so it's just wow. The feeling is so great. It's something I can't really describe because it's so exhilarating.
Um, I'm going to take your word for it because I'm very afraid of heights. I
Okay.
don't know if I'm going to get on a plane yet, but maybe I will.
Well, there's another way to experience getting over your fear of heights that doesn't involve skydiving, and it doesn't even involve the sky, and that's free diving or scuba diving.
Mhm.
So you can even you can go to depths, inside the sky, or you can do it inside the water.
Yeah, there
Choose
you
your
go.
medium.
I wouldn't be scared, I don't think, of the free diving because I know I could turn around and go back up.
And for those of you that
And
don't
it's
know what free
soft.
diving is, it's you going underwater while you're holding your breath.
Yeah. I want to talk about that in just a second. We're getting there because I'm very fascinated by. So skydiving is one of your passions, your hobbies. Conquered your fear. You've had over 200, but you had a near fatal accident
I
while
did. Only
skydiving in
one.
Seychelles. Only one. Well, good. Thank
Only
you.
one.
Can you tell
Um,
us about that accident? What happened?
yes, I had 10 successful jumps
So you were 10
and
at. You were
Oh
10
yeah.
from 10.
So
Okay.
while I was in Seychelles, I had 10 beautiful, successful jumps, landed on my feet, beautiful, no injuries. And on my last jump, it was in a location I've never skydived before, in a place where other people haven't skydived before. It was a very new experience, to up
Mhm.
the ante. And, on a beach. Beach is where we were supposed to land. And by the time I got down to landing, there were some other circumstances that so while I was getting down to land, there was a little slither of the beach left, and
Yeah.
then there was this rock wall of death in
Oh,
my way. And because of how
ooh.
high I was when I was coming down to land, I had to make a decision. Am I going to land on the rock wall of death, or am I going to turn into the ocean and land in the ocean? And usually, when you land in the ocean, it's not like a fatal accident kind of thing. However, when I landed in the ocean, I landed on top of big rocks that you cannot see from the
Oh,
sky.
no. Like,
And
like a coral reef or something?
oh, they were huge rocks, huge. And I landed on the rocks, and it, basically tore up my leg and some
Oh,
other parts of my body. And I broke some bones, more than one, and my bones are hanging outside my body.
oh man.
And, going through that experience has taught me a lot. It has humbled me a lot. And some people would think that because I had that skydiving accident, multiple surgeries, that I would never get back into the water again because it happened in the water. And I actually went back to the same beach, 2 years later, and I free dived there. And it was like a beautiful moment of just basically overcoming the trauma of the accident and closing the circle. And as I said before, you want to do the hardest thing first. So the first thing I did when I got the clearance that I could get back into the water again was basically going back to the same beach in which it happened and entering the water and just making peace with it.
Well, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you also narrowly survived a drowning as a child.
Yes, yes,
But now your passion is free diving, which makes sense
yes.
with all the explanation you've given. But God, near have there been any other near death experiences, or are those the only two? And what of those perspectives that you've gained on life from those two near death experiences?
Well, I've I've actually had another near-death experience when I was in Israel.
Are you a daredevil? Are you an adrenaline junkie, or are you just out living?
I'm out living and experiencing.
Well, I'm glad you're still here talking to us, that's for sure. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm still here. And as I said before, when you have fears and you have things that you want to overcome, you want to do the hardest thing first, because on the other side of what you feel is challenging and hard is where you're going to evolve and it's where you're going to grow and transform.
Even if they may mean death, you're still okay with that. You'd rather do than not, right? You'd rather know than and
Well, no, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen.
Mhm.
And so everything's going to happen the way it's supposed to. And it's just your experience and your awareness of what's happening that changes everything for you.
So you've leveraged your data science skills to build a global fan base. And I think this is fascinating. And if you don't mind sharing a little bit of how you did it, we have so many people in the music business or that are music artists trying to crack that code. And it feels like maybe you did a little bit. You attracted millions of streams and social media impressions through using blockchain technology when you released your special EP, and then for using Ethereum smart contracts to pay all rights to the holders instantly. I don't even know what I'm talking about. What is blockchain?
So blockchain, you can think of it like a global Excel spreadsheet in which no entry can be deleted, and every entry builds off of the other entry. And just imagine if you can see every transaction that's ever happened. Like for instance, if you were at a restaurant and if the restaurant was on a blockchain, when you receive your receipt, you would see how much everyone else paid for their items at that restaurant. That's what the blockchain is.
Okay. The medical industry uses it, right? What
Some portions of the medical industry uses it, yes.
blockchain?
So blockchain is just a digital ledger.
So how did you use that to reach new fans, new listeners? How did you reach that? How did you use that successfully to get your music out there? And is this a way of the future, possibly
Well,
from business?
so I'll give you one little hack.
Come on, give us
So
all.
one of the things I discovered on Ethereum and other blockchains is that I could airdrop things to people because the blockchain is a public ledger. So I can see every single address that has ever been created on the network. And I can actually contact all of those addresses by sending them airdrops. So mainly, basically, you can send an airdrop like 0.00000008 Ethereum, per person kind of thing. And you can put anything you want inside of the ledger. So I can, whatever text I'd like to put, I can put whatever text. And when you send people money, they click on it. No.
So how are you sending them money?
Not just that you're sending them money, but when you
You're
send them
sending
an
them something
airdrop,
valuable. Yeah.
in the beginning of, different Ethereum technologies, there wasn't as much traffic in the network as there is now. And so when people were, receiving particular things, they would look at their wallet address and they would look at the things and they would actually read what's in there, right? Right now, there's so much spam and things across the network that it's so congested that everyone's not reading every single thing that gets sent to them. However, when I did it, it was a pretty new technology. So it's kind of like when you first get an email, like excite.com, outlook.com. When they were first there, you would read every one of your emails because you weren't getting a lot of emails, right?
Yeah.
And now you're getting a lot of emails. You don't read every single email, and some of them even go in the spam folder. This is the same thing that happened with blockchain, right? The blockchain was new, and I understood that.
You took
So I
advantage of
sent
that.
I
Yeah.
sent messages to a lot of people, and I was getting great responses actually.
That's great because I would think if I would got it's almost like spam, right? Because you didn't talk to the sender and you got something from them. I would think that it might be there might be a risk of it being a negative
Right. And another thing
experience
that
where
I
you're like,
did
what, who
do,
is this person sending me the music? Delete.
right,
But that
delete,
didn't happen
yes.
for you.
No, I was very lucky. And another thing that I did is I looked at the world as a global thing, and I looked at the marketplaces where there weren't a lot of musicians going and touring and just doing concerts around the world. And those markets had people in them, right? That wanted to be entertained. So there was a hole. There was
They want to
something
be
missing.
connected to the world.
They want to be connected to the world. And so I reached out to those marketplaces and I showed them my music first before I showed the United States where I'm from. I was born
Mhm.
in the US, you know. And so when I started going into other marketplaces and serving marketplaces that were looking for music, looking for connection, but there weren't enough musicians actually fulfilling that market, I was, they saw me differently, right? And those people had Twitter accounts, those people had social media accounts, and they were following me. They were reposting my music because it was exclusive. They got it first. And then after I gave them the music and experiences and shows, I introduced the same music to the United States of America, my home marketplace. And when I did that, they saw, oh, this is already popular in this country. This is already popular in that country. And so that helped a lot as well.
I understand that. I get it in my own way. I get that. It's genius. And we work, in this business, I work with a gentleman who brings artists from Japan to the United States, but I think they'd love someone like you that had the mind that you have, because they're trying to find the niche markets or bring the, you know, Japan may have the artists do great in Japan, but they don't cross over very well. And I think that's universal challenge for musicians in countries outside of the United States. How do they break in? How do they, and you've really, I think, pinpointed the way that you do that. You
Well,
start,
in terms of like breaking into new marketplaces and feeling like it doesn't cross over, it's not that it didn't cross over. It's that you didn't get to the right target market in
Mhm.
those markets that would allow those people to experience the music. And another thing is you have to define success on your own terms.
Right,
And a lot of people think that when you go into a marketplace that, you need to get to thousands and thousands of people in order to be successful in that marketplace, and that's not true. So what is true? What is a good number when you walk into a new country, into a new marketplace? And for me, that number was around 150 people. And you're like, what? 150 people? Yes. But not just anybody, super fans. 150 super fans per marketplace is a lot of people, right? And when you get to 10 different marketplaces at 150 people, that's a lot of people. That's more than 1,000 people that you're serving to that are only super fans that are going to like everything you do, buy everything you have, and support you. And as an independent artist, you only need 100, like 100 true fans times 10 is 1,000 true fans. So you only need 1,000 true fans to really have a successful career as an independent artist. But a lot of people are into these vanity metrics and they think they need
mhm,
so many people, and they think they need millions and millions of people. And that's great and all, but like millions and millions of people aren't consuming in terms of buying your concert tickets and really having an authentic connection with you. And can
right.
you really keep up with a million people, right? Like you want to tailor like intimate connections with your fans and the people that would like your content and what you're doing. And the way you're going to do that is at scale when you are talking to the people that are really going to support you, which are your super fans.
How do how does your analytical and artistic mind coexist? Are they friendly with each other? Do they coexist nicely, or are
They do. They coexist nicely,
your
but
brain is firing? Um, you talk about, or maybe I just drew the connection here, but technology and music, they share kind of a common goal to be successful, which is human connection. We are still part of that equation.
yes,
And
human connection and collaboration,
yeah, what you
which
set
leads to
out to.
contribution.
So, despite our fractured world right now, do you believe that we can stay connected through music? And is that part of the answer to calm it down a bit? Is music, how big a part of is music and this whole equation at this point when connection seems so distant?
Well, I think music has the capacity to transcend borders and transcend political beliefs, transcend traumas, and it's healing. And it has the capacity to link us to every human being on the earth. Even if you are a person that can't hear and that are deaf, because vibration happens with or without your ears.
And you talk about vibration being medicinal and healing. How so?
Well, there's different vibration frequencies, and I know that sounds woo-woo, but it's not. That when you play the frequency or you listen to a song that has that frequency, it really does have the ability to distract your brain away from pain. And the way it works is, just to give you an example, I'll give you a frequency that I use very often, which is 528, which is C5 for all of you music nerds. And, 528 hertz, and different frequencies do different things to different people's nervous systems. You just have to test out the frequencies until you find one that's going to be really good for your nervous system that you resonate with. And I resonate with 528, and I think you would too. And what you do is you can play the 528 when you're feeling the pain, or you can play it while you're sleeping for like 10 hours or 8 hours or 5 hours or 4 hours or however long you're sleeping. And you can just play it in your ears while you're sleeping. And that's how you can use the frequency. And during the daytime, if you want to be distracted from your pain of any sort, right, you put on the 528 frequency. It could be at a low volume, high volume, whatever comfortable volume that you would like. And it helps you distract yourself from whatever pain you're experiencing.
That's great. I'm going to try that. So the Calm app is probably something that might help. You can find
Yeah.
those frequencies, huh?
Yes, and there's also music that has those
Yeah.
frequencies. I'm releasing an album that has these frequencies embedded into the background of the tracks. So each track has a different frequency.
Have you heard of Matsumoto? She just won a Grammy last year, but she does TED Talks on this, on frequencies and music, how it helps, how it heals. It reminded me of that you were talking.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so we're almost out of time. Unfortunately, this has been way too fascinating. So let's talk about the new album,
Yes.
soon to be released, Into the Depths. Um, it sounds like the title's a metaphor for your life a bit.
It is. It is. Sometimes you have to go into the depths deeply, figuratively and literally, in order to transform and in order to transcend. And, a lot of people are afraid of the dark places. But the thing is, sometimes you're in this dark place and it's not a negative thing. You're in a dark place because you are the light and you can't see your own eyebrows. You can't see yourself. And so, and that's what Into the Depths is all about, going to deep places inside yourself and transcending those moments and those times and healing from that.
Now, creating the album, if it sounds like the way you describe it, that it was this real transformational, inspirational, healing process for you. Did you feel transformed as you created the music for the album? And by the time, from beginning to the very end, by the time you finished, had you gone
I,
through a
I did.
metamorphosis?
I definitely have. What's interesting is some of the songs from the album were written before my accident, and then I refined them after my accident. And some of them were written in the hospital, on the hospital bed, in between surgeries. And, music is medicine. And like for instance, Bloom, that song, I love that song.
Oh, it's so beautiful. So beautiful. We're just about to hear it
You
right
know,
now.
like Bloom is, you know, it's a song about love to the universe, but love to yourself. And, it's also about transformation. And I just love the idea of being transformed like a flower because flowers bloom before they
Mhm.
can become what they are, right? Like you have a seed that gets destroyed completely and then it becomes this beautiful flower. And I just love that metaphor of, something has to be completely destroyed to become this beautiful thing that it's going to become. And I just think that's very interesting. And that's a
It's
whole universe in itself. And
yeah, yeah. There are a lot of fascinating things about this world we live in if we just slow down and watch the sunrise, watch the sun,
yes,
watch the flower
these
transform and
intricate
bloom.
moments that cost
Yeah.
nothing for us to do. It costs nothing to see the sunrise and the sunset.
Uh, and are
And
you able to do that with, because it sounds like your mind is just working uh, predicting future, like writing music, exploring the world. It really feels like you're alive. Um, but does that overworking maybe slow you
Well, I
down a little? Or,
meditate
yeah,
every day. I love to meditate. I love to meditate. And I feel like music grounds me. It keeps me grounded to this earthly experience because I'm
yeah.
so, you know, I'm always like out of this world, daydreaming all the time, dreaming all the time, and executing and calculating and doing this or doing that. And music is this thing in this experience of being a human being that grounds me. And I think it's important that we all have a grounding thing and a grounding practice that we do every single day to remind us of being in this human body.
So would you say that if the music is your key to unlocking your expression, your freedom, your connection?
Yes.
And it,
And this album, Into the Depths, is an album that's going to elevate consciousness of all humanity.
that's a quite a goal
Yes.
that I like that you set out to to solve it. There are
Yes.
three of the tracks from the album are already have already been released. Bloom, when does that is that available now?
Bloom is now available. Yes.
Okay,
It just
great.
came out.
Yeah, so please, I mean, you're going to listen to the song right now, and this is one of those songs. Um, for me, it's on my in my top five right now. It may be number one. I was thinking about it today before the show. Where would I place this? Because I just love it so much. I'm going to have you set it up for us in just a second, Shelita. But before we say goodbye, what's in the future? What can we look forward to as fans besides the new album? What's in
Ooh.
the future for you?
Besides the new album, The Future of Me, I'm actually planning a tour next year.
Okay.
So I'm in
I
the
hope,
planning stages of the tour.
I hope it comes through Santa Barbara.
Oh, yes. Yes, I love Santa Barbara.
Are you in LA now? Are you were born in or grew up in Seattle, right? If I had that right.
I was born in Los
Born in
Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Yes. And I grew up in Seattle.
Where do you call home now?
Well,
The
I
world.
have well, I have three homes.
The whole world. Where
One is actually Seychelles, Africa. I love Seychelles now.
hmm.
The other home is in Los Angeles, and the other home is in Nebraska.
Wow, I wasn't gonna expecting Nebraska.
Yes, Nebraska.
Well, it sounds beautiful. I wish we had more time to talk about each one of those. You have other albums. I wanted to give this out also. Transfixed EP 2015, the special EP that I've mentioned 2017, Belong, which is a single that's received millions of Spotify plays, the Shelita album in 2019, and You Will Want My Love, which we played in this show. I'm going to see if I can remember where it was at. I think it was coming back. Yeah, we came back in with You Will Want My Love by Shelita. Okay, Shelita, it's been so great talking to you. Before we go, I want to have you set up the song Bloom. But before we go, international pop artist Shelita returns with Into the Depths after a near fatal skydiving accident in Seychelles left her temporarily unable to walk. She is back with her most powerful album yet. It blends sounds from Africa, Europe, South America, and the States into songs that elevate consciousness and inspire you. And it sure does. Okay, set up Bloom for us, please, Shelita. And thank you so much for coming on.
Here is a song that's going to heal your soul and your heart. produced by Bell Ringer and also myself. It's called Bloom.